The following video will review how to attach a fixed reader to the middleware in the Tracking Plus software. So here we can see we already have our middleware installed. I'm going to go ahead and log in, and I can check to see we already have our Tracking Plus package installed and the Tracking Plus service running. Please refer to the video on installation if you need help with this. I'm going to go to our devices section, and we can see we don't have any devices currently installed. So I'm going to click the Discovery button to see if it locates and finds any devices on my system. So here we can see a device was located on my network. So I'm going to go ahead and choose it and click Add to add this device to the middleware. If your device isn't automatically found and you know the IP address, you could always right-click, choose Add Device, and type in the IP address for the device to add it to the middleware. Once my device is added, I'm going to right-click and choose Download License. If I have a valid license, the license will automatically be downloaded and applied. Otherwise, I can fill in information to download a trial license. So we can see we now have our Speedway Revolution reader attached to our middleware. It's licensed and it's online. I'm going to go ahead and double click it so we can look at some additional settings in here. First setting may be we want to give this device a name so it's a little bit easier to find. So I'm going to actually set the device name and the location to Warehouse. This will be used a little bit later in the middleware when we look at our channels, as well as when we look at attaching this to the Tracking Plus. This will just make my life easier. I'm going to go ahead and go to the antennas. This is a 2-port reader, so there's 2 antennas. And I'm going to change this. Instead of antenna control all, I want to be able to control them individually. So I'm going to change the antenna control to individual. And now we can see we have our 2 antennas. First thing I may want to do is name each antenna. So if each antenna needs to be a different zone, I want to be able to name them. So I'm going to say this one is the back door, and this one is a side door. The other thing that I can set here is the power on the antennas. Right now they're both set to 30, which is maximum power. For my testing, I'm going to lower the power here just because I'm in a small environment. So I'm going to change these down to 10. I'm going to go ahead and click Save now to save all of my settings and the changes that I've made to the fixed reader and antennas. The next step is to go to my channels, right-click, and I'm going to create a new channel. Again, I can call this anything I want. I'm just going to remain consistent and call this Warehouse. I'm now going to double-click on my channel, and the first thing I'm going to do is add my device. So I'm going to right-click, choose Add Device, and now we can see my device is listed. This is the name I gave it. So again, that's why I gave it a name that would be easy to find other than Speedway with the MAC address. So now I'll choose that device, and that device is now part of this channel. I really don't need to make any other changes here. I can go ahead and save this. If I wanted to test this, the way I typically like to test is click on Big Number, go to Tag Events, so we can see we've got a big number here, and go ahead and enable this channel. When this channel is enabled, it'll be able to start reading. So here we can see it read a tag. It sees it on antenna 1 on the device Warehouse. I'm going to move the tag over to a different antenna. And here we can see it shows us now antenna 2 is reading this. So I can see that both antennas are successfully reading my tags. I can also go to my devices section to get a status on the device, and I can see that not only is it online, but it's also reading. So I know that it's probably part of one of these channels, and the channel is enabled. The next step is to configure this in our Tracking Plus application. So I'm going to go ahead, for right now I'm going to disable this channel, and we're going to jump to our Tracking Plus application. I'm going to go ahead and connect to the software. And I'm going to jump down to my configuration and locations. So we can see I already have 2 locations that have been added to the system. I'm going to go ahead and double click on the warehouse. And in here, you can see it brings up a new dialog box where I can set some zones. So I'm going to go ahead and click Add. And I can give this a name, this zone. So I'm going to call this one Backdoor. I can say that this is out, meaning that any items that are detected at the back door, we're going to set their status to out. They moved out of the warehouse. The channel dropdown will show me any channels that have been created in our middleware. And the reader, again, will show me the reader name. So that's why it is important to name my reader in the middleware so that it's easy to find here in this list. Now antenna, if I had all the antennas on this reader at that back door, I could just leave this as any. But I split the antennas on this 2-port reader. So I have one in the back door, one in the side door. So I'm going to choose back door for this one and click Add. We've now set up one zone. I'm going to go ahead up and set up an additional zone, and we're going to do side door. We're going to set this one as in. Again, choose my channel, reader, and our antenna. So now we can see we have an in zone and an out zone in the warehouse. And again, this is all tied into our middleware. We're going to go ahead and enable our channel now in our middleware and have this running. And what we'll be able to do is look at this item. So we can see the last status was it was seen at the warehouse at the side door. So what we'll do is I'll see if I can move this antenna or the tag over to the back door, and you'll see it was seen at the back door and then it went missing. Because if you remember, we set the back door as an out zone. So that means it went out, so we don't know where it is, so it's missing. So that's when it went by one of the antennas. I'll now move my tag to the other antenna, and we can see that it updated, and it says, okay, it was now seen at the side door, and it's found. So the current location is found in the warehouse at the side door zone. That's the last known location. So depending on the number of fixed readers you have, you can set up as many different channels as you'd like for each of your devices and set up different zones for the antennas. You can even have multiple devices in a channel. So let's say in the warehouse I had one big door and I had multiple devices, but I wanted them all to report the same location, same zone. I could sit here and add multiple devices to this section.